Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this online hearing of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Ottawa under the Planning Act. This video conference is also live streaming on YouTube. With me are my fellow panel members, Jocelyn Chandler, Stephen Lewis, Terrence Otto, and Martin Vervoort. My name is Fabien Poulin, and I will be here chairing this meeting today. Procedure for this hearing will be as follows. Listed on the agenda and appearing on the screen are the applications we will hear today. For the sake of efficiency, the committee may deal with an agenda item in a different order. Committee members have reviewed the planning reports and any written submissions in support or in opposition of each of the applications. Today, we'll hear oral submissions from any interested parties. Notice regarding minor variance applications, notwithstanding pre-consultation with city staff, is the responsibility of the applicant to identify all required variances accurately on the application to one, add a new variance or increase the extent of a variance requested. Must be given in accordance with the Planning Act and may require the application to be recirculated for the next hearing date at a cost to the applicant at the prescribed fee. If an applicant amends their plans with no impact to the variances or to reduce the variance requested, recirculation may not be required. As part of the statutory notification requirements, each applicant was required to post the sign on the property and file a statutory declaration confirming the sign posting. This declaration must be on file today before we can hear the application. Without it, I may have to adjourn the application or administer an oath if necessary. Can the coordinator confirm that we have received all statutory declarations?
Mr. Chair, we have not received any today.
Thank you very much. I will administer an oath concerning the sign posting to each applicant. The committee may ask for a brief presentation of the application followed by questions from members and submissions from the public. Please address your comments to the chair, starting with your name and spelling it if necessary and your municipal address for the record. The committee limits presentations to 5 minutes. Any exceptions will be at the chair's discretion. Before we begin, we have two items of business to address. Does any member need to declare an interest in any of the applications that are before us today or that are on the agenda of the committee panel? We have no declarations of interest. We also have to adopt the minutes of the last two public hearings. The public hearing of September the 7th, and I ask panel members to approve the minutes of this meeting. All those in favor, please raise your hands. And September 21st minutes. Can I get the panel to approve these minutes? Please raise your hands. Those minutes have been adopted as well. We'll now hear applications scheduled for this hearing, and we'll deal firstly with any items that may be adjourned. I believe we have 3 items to be adjourned, beginning with item number 1. Item number 1 has to do with 2460 Stagecoach Road. The agent on this property is Crystal McConkey. Crystal McConkey, are you available? I see your name, but you are not. You need to unmute yourself.
Yes, Chair, I am here. Can you,
I can hear you now.
Oh,
That's
okay, wonderful. Apologies. This is a new computer and my first time with Zoom on the computer. I just wanted to make sure that everything was working okay.
Yeah, you're good. So I understand that there's an adjournment request by the planning department. Are you in agreement with that adjournment request?
Yes, we are, Chair.
And are you also in agreement that is to be adjourned sine die?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. I would like to ask the panel then to adjourn this application sine die. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you, ma'am. Your application has been adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair.
You're welcome. Now on to application number 2. It's also a request for adjournment. Is David Gribben here? This application has to do with 3972 Torbolton Ridge Road. Mr. Gribben. I don't see you on. Oh, there you go. I see you now. Good morning.
Actually, Marilyn Mayhew Dajna, one of the owners of the property. My husband is on another computer.
That's okay.
Doing this.
Okay, I don't see him up here, but
no, he's downstairs on his computer.
Okay. That's fine. Mr. Grimm, I understand that you would like to have your application adjourned, or the planning department has asked that this application be adjourned. Are you in agreement with that?
What does adjournment mean?
Delayed until another time.
And why would we need to have it adjourned?
Okay, I will ask the planning department that. They can give you an update on that. Mr. Harrigan, can you present the adjournment request?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, the adjournment request is mainly for one reason, but it should have consideration for a second reason. The main reason is because of the environmental impact statement. It was identified that the back of the property, the proposed severed lot, will fragment unevaluated wetlands. So our concern is just generally we don't support the fragmentation of wetlands, as it compromises the ability to protect them for the long term. And also any development really should maintain 30-meter setback from said unevaluated wetlands. And as of right now, we just need confirmation. Are the lots actually fragmenting the wetlands? And is there a proper 30-meter setback from the said wetlands themselves too? So we do require a qualified professional go out, confirm the wetland boundaries and whether they are classified as wetlands as per the classification system, and just that there's a 30-meter setback from those wetlands. So we're just looking for some kind of confirmation from a qualified professional. It doesn't have to be a full revision to the environmental impact statement, just an addendum by somebody confirming the wetlands would be appropriate. This is a particularly concerning because their environmental impact statement did note that the severed lot slopes to the back of the property, which does mean that a lot of the slope will go into that unevaluated wetland, and they had proposed fill but not identified where. So there are some concerns about potential negative impacts to these wetlands.
Okay.
The other concern is the landfill. So this property was a construction dump that had closed in the 1970s, I believe 1971. The city does not have any records about any risk assessment done on this property for this dump, so we just don't know the potential negative health impacts. Being that it is a construction dump, there may be some unsavory construction materials such as asbestos that could be put in there, or anything associated with construction equipment. There was the applicant did provide some testing pits that were done in 2007 as part of a report. That's only part of a phase 1 ESA. It's about one of the 5 components that is required for this construction dump. So just as the official plan regulations, we do have some concerns about potential health impacts. So as of right now, we are looking for an adjournment for mainly the environmental aspects, but also to provide an opportunity for the applicant to start looking into the construction dump aspects. Now, that being said, just before the applicant has an opportunity to speak, I did just want to note that if the severed lot is moved to the other side of the driveway on the south side of the property, it will be entirely removed from the construction dump and entirely removed from the natural features. So really, there are 2 options that the applicant go forward with, but if they like to keep in the same spot, we do need proper identification for the wetlands and proper considerations for the construction dump.
Okay. So the document that I provided that was done by Tro, because when we purchased the property, our mortgage holder, the FCC, Farm Credit Canada, would not have approved our purchase and their holding of the guarantee of the mortgage without that construction dump being within the required environmental guidelines.
And has been completely cleared also. But you should have received the paper. There were 2 full reports sent that were just emailed sometime in the last week. And this is a full farm. The property that's allocated is in the front of the property. The farm is everything that's in the back. And we don't understand where there's a waterway. We don't understand anything on the plan that you're saying that there's a waterway, but is this going to delay very much? How long will it take to get somebody to actually put foot on the ground and come and see?
So the foot on the ground, I think, is your responsibility to get a proper engineering firm to come out and do the required testing for the EIS.
But the FCC did come here and approve the 2 studies that were done, and the dump has been closed for now over 50 years.
The city still requires the information they need to be able to present to determine whether or not this information is complete. Now, you're
And
doing
we-
something different to the property than was done at the, you just purchased the land back in the day. Now you're asking for some things to be done to the land.
Okay.
So that's changing some of the items that are required. So Mr. Harrigan needs these pieces of information. So does the city, and so does the panel. So we can make a decision on whether or not this can go forward.
Did Mr. Harrigan get the last two reports, including the one from the city from 2007?
Mr. Harrigan?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, just let me pull up exactly. I received one report that was submitted to the Committee of Adjustment. It seemed to have been posted on Monday. Just let me pull up the report so I can give you the exact name of this report. Yeah, so the name of the report by TRO was a subsurface investigation 3972 to Bolton Ridge, Ottawa, Ontario. So that is the one report that I have received. And as the report titles, it is a subsurface investigation with test pits that have been drilled to identify potential contaminants within the water, but it is not a full phase 1 environmental site assessment, which is required for any former dumps, particularly because you're doing construction within the dump boundary. There was an even greater concern about potential health risks here, and this will require a record of site conditions submitted to the province for their approval in this case as well too. So that can take a fair bit of time for the record of site condition that would have to be submitted alongside the phase 1 ESA. And if the phase 1 ESA does identify potential contaminants, it may require a phase 2 environmental site assessment. So again, these are all requirements for doing construction within the dump. As mentioned, if the severed lot is moved to the hayfields on the south side of the driveway,
That's a 5-acre hayfield. I'm not going to give a 5-acre hayfield.
I don't think we're into
understood.
deciding where things are going to go.
Yes. We want it there.
So now I'm going to ask the panels for some comments. Mr. Lewis? You're muted, sir.
Sorry, folks. Yeah, that was my question about moving it to the other side. You wouldn't have to give up 5 acres, but a lot of these problems would go away.
No, that's a good pasture.
Adjournment, but not forever.
Right.
4 do it, a month do it.
Okay. Mr. Vervoort?
I agree. I think the matter should be put over for a month or two, and then the parties can further discuss what information they have, what information is required, so we can properly evaluate the application.
Thank you. Ms. Chandler?
I tend to agree with Mr. Vervoort. I think some clarification needs to be provided to the applicant in terms of exactly what's required so they can consider their options.
Thank you. Mr. Otto?
I agree with the previous speakers. We should have a bit more information, and it will give the applicants time to talk with planning and find out exactly what planning is after, and possibly what the province wants to do if they want to leave the lots where they are. It could involve a long, lengthy process. Anyways, I think we should have more discussion. Thank you.
Okay, so I would suggest that we probably adjourn this sine die, Mr. Sastra and Ms. Gibbons.
My wife is going up and going to talk. I'll let her do the talking. Might as well not do it.
Okay. Ms. Gibbons. My suggestion is that we adjourn this sine die. You're muted, ma'am. There you go. Nope. There.
Sorry. Okay, so if we go to an adjournment, when is the next meeting?
Meetings are held first and third Wednesdays of every month, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done prior to that so that staff can make an evaluation and make recommendations on the reports that they would have received. So, Mr. Harrigan, can you suggest a timeline? Sine die means that once you have the reports done, you can then put it on the schedule and then we move forward.
Okay.
Do you agree with?
Okay, we'll take an adjournment. We will look at our options. We will have to reassess the potential and what the impact would be to move it on the south side of the driveway. And as well as look at the what it would take to get the full EIS assessment done for the existing location.
Okay.
And so how would we, once we've made our decision on that, if we decide to go to the other side, when is the next time it could, like, and how would we make the change?
Need to go through the process again to get your application heard with all those documents prepared. And Mr. Harrigan certainly can help you with that kind of timing. Once he receives the reports, he can give you a better idea of how long it will take.
Do we still have to lose 2 acres? Can't we just lose 1? That's good pasture land where we are now. I get like a couple of hundred bales off of that.
I don't think we're in a position to make any comments on that
Okay,
issue.
That's fine. That's fine.
So to that end, I'd like to ask the panel for approval to adjourn this application sine die. All those in favor? Your application is adjourned sine die. Thank you very much, Mr. Sartre and Ms. Gibbons.
Thank you.
Now on to our last adjournment request, which is application number 6. This has to do with 860 Bayview Drive. Mr. Rushton, are you available?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Rushton doesn't seem online.
Okay.
So
So
I'll give him a call.
thank you. We'll step this down and we'll move on to the other applications in line. The next application we will hear is application number 3. Application number 3 has to do with 1430 Dunning Road. Brandon Jarvis, are you available? I see you. Good morning.
Morning.
I need to administer an oath concerning the sign posting on your property, sir. Can you take that oath today? You're muted, sir. Good morning, Mr. Jarvis. I can see you, but there, I can't hear you yet.
First
Good.
time on Zoom.
No worries. I need to administer an oath. Can you take that oath this morning?
Yes, I can.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time? Do you swear?
I swear, yes.
Thank you, sir. And just a little bit of administrative work we need to do with respect to the some of the information on the notice. The frontage of the property is now 21.663 meters. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, that's correct. Yes, yes.
And we also note that the lot will have a broken frontage of 554.88 on Dunning Road and 20.43 meters on Minogue Crescent and 21.396 on Royal Maple Drive. Is that correct, sir?
That's correct.
Thank you. And now I note that our agencies and I know for the committee that our agencies do not have any concerns with respect to this application. And I also note that there are 8 conditions for approval of this application. Do you agree with those 8 conditions, sir?
We agree with all but condition number 7.
Okay. What's your concern, sir?
So what the condition states is that there is to be a zoning bylaw amendment on the property, specifically that the conveyed lands are to be rezoned from our rural residential zone exception 515 holding to RR1 rural residential zone subzone 1. And that the retained lands are to be rezoned from rural residential zone exception 515 holding to rural country site zone. The concern is that there's an existing holding zone on the property, and we acknowledge that in order for the conveyance to be permitted, the existing holding zone must be lifted. However, the requirement to undertake a zoning bylaw amendment per the condition is unnecessary, since the proposed uses and the existing use on the property are already permitted within the existing zone. We just feel that this condition by the city is a want rather than a need at the significant expense of our client, and that essentially the proposal conforms to the existing zoning that is currently applied to the 1430 Dunning Road property, and that we would request that the condition be removed and then a new condition be prepared to only reference the lifting of the existing holding zone. And further, I should add that if staff want a more consistent zoning lines across the rural area, the requested rezoning could be better dealt with as part of the comprehensive zoning bylaw review that we understand is currently being undertaken by the city at this time.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Graham, do you have any comments on this on behalf of the city?
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Chair, so the current zone is RR with exception 515. And the purpose of the rural residential zone is to recognize and permit large lot residential development in planned subdivisions and to acknowledge existing smaller lot development in areas designated as journal rural area. We don't believe that that the retained parcel, we don't believe that's the best zone for this property. We believe rural country zone is the most appropriate zone for this parcel. So the purpose of the RU zone is to accommodate agricultural, forestry, residential lots. And as the current use of the retained parcel is agricultural in nature, we believe that's the best zone for this parcel. That being said, we would still have no major concerns if the condition is modified to just the holding provision being removed.
Thank you. And now there's a registered speaker, Mr. Charles Seguin, a member of the public. His address is 2503 Bricklin Road. Mr. Seguin, would you like to speak?
Mr. Chair, he's not online.
Okay, so I guess he doesn't want to speak. Okay. All right, now moving on to the panel. I'd like to ask the panel for their comments, questions, or concerns. Mr. Lewis?
Yeah, I'd support the application with the changes to condition 7.
Thank you. Ms. Chandler?
Lost my unmute button for a minute there. As long as the city's okay with it, I mean, the difference between lifting the H and going through a minor zoning bylaw amendment is about $4,000. I presume that the agent has thoroughly looked at this because I think the zoning bylaw amendment change would actually permit more uses for your client on the larger property in the long run in terms of the things he could do with it, but that's just my read on it. So if he's happy just to lift the H and the city can live with that, I'm okay with changing the condition and approving the application.
Thank you. Mr. Otto?
I agree with what's been said so far, and as long as planning, they've already said that they would agree to pass it with just lifting the H. But looking at the map in the future, this is probably going to be all houses eventually by the looks of things to me. So I'm in favor of the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Otto. Mr. Vervoort?
I'm in favor of the application as well with the amendment to condition number 7. I believe the lots, once severed, will still comply with the existing zoning bylaw provisions. So I'm in favor of proceeding that way.
Thank you very much. All that to say, I'd like to ask the panel for approval of this application with modifications to the condition number 7 as requested by the applicant. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application is approved. Thank you very much, Mr. Jarvis.
Thank you.
Now we're on to application number 4. Application number 4 has to do with 16418 8th Line Road. Jean-Denis Parent, are you available, sir? Monsieur Parent, are you available? I see your name. but you're muted. Good morning.
Okay, I'm here.
Good morning. I would like to administer an oath concerning the sign posting on your property. Can you take that oath this morning?
Could
Mr.
you
Pettit?
please repeat that? I missed
Sure.
that.
Sure. Can you take the oath concerning the sign posting on your property this morning?
Yeah,
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing, as instructed, and was clearly visible and legible during that time? Do you swear?
yeah.
So for the panel, sir, I note that all the agencies within the city have approved or do not have any concerns with this application. However, there are 6 conditions if the approval is required here.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, I think there's some amendments to the application. Sorry.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Thank you very much, Mr. Revort. There's a couple of administrative items. The notice requires to be amended as follows, and I'd like your confirmation, Mr. Perrin. The lands to be retained shown on the sketch will have a frontage of 146.76 meters and a regular depth of approximately 998 meters as opposed to 839.4. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah.
Thank you. So, yes, there are 6 conditions if this application is to be approved today, sir. Are you in agreement with these conditions?
Yep.
Thank you very much. I'd now like to ask the panel for their questions or comments. Mr. Vervoort?
No questions, comments, or concerns.
Mr. Lewis?
Support the application.
Thank you. Mr. Otto?
I support the application.
Ms. Chandler?
No comments.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask the panel for approval of this application. All those in favor, please raise your hands. I can't see you, Ms. Chandler. Can you please speak? Okay, now you're back. I can't hear you, but I can see you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Pan. Your application is approved. Thank you. Now moving on to application number 5. Application number 5 has to do with 14 Bradley Street. Mr. Hayward, Peter Hayward, are you available? I see you, sir. Good morning. Can't hear you. Yes, you're muted, sir. So there you are. You're still muted, sir.
There we are. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you take the oath concerning the sign posting on the property this morning?
I can, yes.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time? Do you swear?
I swear.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I note for the panel that there are no, any of the agencies of the city have expressed no concerns. There are no requested conditions on this. However, there are some modifications to the notice that needs to be read into the record. And they're noted as follows. The owner requires the authority of the committee for a minor variance from the zoning bylaw to permit a reduced width of 19.175 from 19.1 meters, whereas the bylaw requires a minimum lot width of 20 meters. Do you agree with that, sir?
Sorry, it needs to be adjusted to 19.1 from 19.175. Is that what I understand?
No, the other way around. 19.175 from 19.1.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask the panel now for any comments they may have. Mr. Lewis?
No comments.
Thank you. Mr. Otto?
No comments. Thank you.
Ms. Chandler?
No additional comments. Thank you.
Mr. Vervoort?
No comments, and I support the application.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to ask the panel for approval of this application. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application is approved, Mr. Hayward. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Have a great day. Thank you.
And that concludes our business for today.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
we still have one item for adjournment, item number 6.
are they back online?
Yes, Mr. Rushton is online now.
Thank you. So the last item is Mr. Rushton's file that has to do with 860 Bayview Drive. Are you the phone call, Mr. Rushton?
Yes, I am.
Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry, I wasn't sure. I wasn't made aware I had to still attend. I thought it was just adjourned for 2 weeks.
No, you still need to come to the
Right.
come to the meeting. So
I get that now.
no worries. So the planning department has requested that this be adjourned sine die. Do you agree with that, sir?
I missed the last part. Adjourned
Sine die.
90 die?
No, sine, SINEDIE. It just means that it's
Sine
going to
die.
be adjourned until you're able to come back to the table with the information.
Okay. Yes, I agree.
Okay. I'd like to ask the panel now for any comments they may have. Mr. Lewis,
No comments.
Mr. Otto,
Comments, thank you.
Ms. Chandler.
I have no comments. I understand that the applicant understands that he needs to adjust things with the city and with the Conservation Authority, that would be best before they return to the committee.
Thank you, Ms. Chandler. Mr. Vervoort.
No comments.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask the panel now for adjournment of this application sine die. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application is adjourned sine die. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your help this week. I'll see you in about 2 weeks. Thank you all.